I just feel like I do all of that in my sleep and think about it the night before, lay everything out, have it all planned out. And it's just sort of second nature because of the past experiences I have.
Hi, Vicky. Welcome to the Meetup spot.
Hey, Nigel, how's it going?
I am doing good, and I gotta say, first ever person from Saskatchewan. I got on the Meetup spot. Seriously though, when I think of Saskatchewan, I think of Corner Gas and that they Toy Accord song about stealing your partner or something like that.
I love
Yeah,
that song. I love that song. It's so
really, you
funny.
know that song?
Well, so my partner teaches French immersion, and so
Oh,
he went to Laval for a year of his schooling. He went to school through Regina, and so they do 1 year of immersion, and that's the song that everyone talked to him about. And I don't really know what it's saying other than the Saskatchewan part of it.
yeah.
But yeah, I know of the song as well, and I find it hilarious, and it's actually kind of real. Like a lot of people do move to Saskatchewan because they fall in love.
And the Corner Gas, probably. Yeah.
And corner gas, yeah, very relatable for like when you go into small towns.
Yeah.
But of course, I'm in Saskatoon. I've been here for, I mean, I was like 11 when I moved here. And so, Saskatoon is like the bustling metropolis of Saskatchewan. So it feels quite a bit different for us in the city.
Hmm. All right, here we go. Vicky, tell me about yourself and your growing up story.
Yeah, so I was born in Southwest Alberta, in Pincher Creek. It's about half an hour from both borders in the southwest corner and right in the foothills. Very windy.
Oh,
And that's where my folks met. And so my dad's family are ranchers from the area, like Cowley and area there. My mom's family was from Saskatoon, and that's why we ended up coming back here at one point. But yeah, so I was born in Pincher Creek. Uh, in Alberta, it's a town. In Saskatchewan, it would be classified as a city. It's like 2,500 people. Felt very small town to us. And, my mom was working as a waitress. My dad had come off the farm, was working at a lumber yard. I think that's when they met. And yeah, fell in love. We're very young, like they were like 19 and 20.
oh,
Um, and got married and had me and had my brother. And it was kind of like, they have like two dimes to rub together, but love will conquer all. That was kind of their their vibe. And lived in a trailer on the river bottom. And then in 1995, a giant flood came through the
oh,
Southwest. And so our livelihood was destroyed. Like I remember packing up and throwing everything. We had an old station wagon at the time, like threw everything we could into our station wagon and went and stayed with my cousin and so like my aunt and uncle, because they were, up the hill from where we
oh.
were. And it was sort of like the whole town just started sandbagging and trying to work to prevent the flood. But yeah, so our house was flooded and you lose a lot of stuff. You can't really like there's mold and stuff that gets into the wood, and there's like all these safety things where you're not really supposed to take things out of the house after. We still ended up doing that. I remember my dad like sawing a dresser in half so that we could like take for where the water line was, take what was remaining. So we ended up staying with my um, aunt and uncle for a while, and then moved to a nearby town where it was a little less expensive, Cowley. And then my parents were sort of trying to get back on their feet and stuff. But we eventually moved to Saskatoon to move in with my mom's parents for them to sort of get a fresh start after that. That was a
Man,
lot.
that's yeah, I
Sorry.
know, I know. Oh, well, I'm glad you were resilient about this. And even if you're in the city, do you still have a bit of rural still kept in you?
Yeah, so we still go back and visit the farm. My aunt still lives there, and my two uncles also have properties. One of them I'm closer with than the other, and so yeah, we'll still go back and visit. One of my uncles is still actively ranching, like there's like retirements and stuff going on, but they actually two are still ranching, I think. But they yeah, I have fond memories of going back. When I was a kid, I used to do chores with my grandpa in the morning when we would go visit and, jump on hay bales and stuff like that.
Oh,
Um, yeah, it's a very common, fun rural pastime of like jumping from hay bale to hay bale, because of where they're placed. And so, that was great fun. You get all kind of scratched up and Ivy from the um but yeah, like I think that connection to rural is helpful just in terms of like understanding where people are coming from, you know, resilience, I think is a you said that word. I think that's like kind of a key takeaway, where like lots of my family members have had just like devastating things happen to them, like a fire happens out there and you're like working to save your house and you can have you know bad years for various reasons and um hard work and resilience I think is a big part of that.
hmm. Nice, nice.
But now I'm such a city gal. Like I, I go out and I'll like I'm tied to producers in Saskatchewan by, going to events and hearing from them and talking to them about their challenges. But I live in like nearly suburban Saskatoon. It's like the far west side of Saskatoon. I could drive for 5 minutes and I hit uh highway and fields. And yeah, it's a very different environment.
That's nice. That's nice. And based on what I'm hearing, did your old farm get fixed, or it's really gone through the floods?
So it wasn't the farm that flooded. It was a trailer court
Oh,
on the river bottom. So the farm was like is higher up. So it wasn't a big issue, but the trailer court ended up getting totally revamped. I think there's a museum now there in that area. So yeah, there was I don't know like 10 trailers in that small little area by the bridge. So yeah, it looks quite a bit different now.
hmm, nice. Okay, Vicky, why do you do what you do?
That is a big question. um, I think, I've always kind of been driven to like make a difference for people, make things better, sort of leave things better than I found them. And politics was very natural when you consider all those things. So like I had a sociology background. I went and took sociology at the University of Saskatchewan and learned about all of the, different life circumstances of people and how systems don't always are not always set up to support you. At some point you're like, okay, I'm working really hard, but nothing, I'm not getting ahead or I'm not being able to be successful. You sort of realize that the systems working against you. And that happened very much in our family. So this really resonated with me when I was learning about it from an academic standpoint. So in addition to the flood, my dad also hurt his back. He wasn't eligible for workers' compensation. Like financially, we were in a really bad spot, even though my folks are really like good, hardworking people, have a lot of grit. So it was kind of like this whole like meritocracy argument has people start out with different stations in life and I was able to recognize even growing up that like my station of like no one in my family had been to university, we didn't have a lot of money, like all of those things influenced where I was likely to go moving forward. So I was like, I have a unique perspective in like kind of just being an everyday person. And a lot of people that get into politics are lawyers or maybe, went to better schools or had parents that taught them about, I don't know, like social dynamics and watch the news all the time and stuff. And like now my folks are a lot more inclined in that direction, like socially concerned with what's going on around them. But they were just kind of like struggling to get by when they were 20 and we were kids, and they didn't have money, and we were kind of running in all different directions. So yeah, this whole argument in sociology of like, like critical theory a little bit of what is the world around us, helped me question some of those things. And
Mm.
then I worked in cadets as well. And so the Army cadet program, so I started out in air cadets, which basically just means you wear a different uniform and learn a little bit more about flying than you do about, you know, camping and expedition kind of stuff, things that involve the ground. Um, I started out in air cadets. It taught me a lot of different life skills. And then I became an Army cadet officer. So I was kind of like the youth leader of cadets, and joined the military doing that. And it also showed me like a lot of different kids from different backgrounds. And it's a free program for participation. So you would see kids that were struggling that like, I resonated with a lot of those kids. So we would, um, work with kids, teach them about how education can be a springboard. You can develop a lot of skills that help you in life, and that was super meaningful work. But yeah, seeing myself in those kids too, I was like, there's a lot of ways that government can make a difference in people's lives, and I think, um, having someone who's seen that, be in this work and sort of make decisions with everyday people in mind, sort of fight for everyday people, is the reason I got involved, and ultimately at the end of the day, someone asked me.
Oh,
I
oh,
yeah, I didn't think, I was like, I'm 40. I've been doing this for like 9 years. I was approached when I was like 27 or something like that. And then the leader of the Saskatchewan NDP was Cam Broughton. And Cam, I think we'd met at a barbecue after he became the leader, so like 2014. And he I knew one of the other MLAs, David Forbes. We'd met quite a bit through cadets because often you'd invite him to like come to the parades and stuff like that. And so we were like good acquaintances by that point. And yeah, I'd met Cam at a barbecue and we sat down like within the week, and he was like, "Have you thought about running? You um, represent a lot of the same ideals as folks on the west side of Saskatoon. We don't have anyone who's like knocking down the door in this area, and we think you'd be a really good fit." And I said, "Yeah, I've thought about running when I'm like 50." Maybe in the future once I've done more things. And he was like, "Well, you've done a lot of things." And I was like, "Okay, sure." Um, and and then I kind of just said, "Yeah, like I'll give it a go." And um, I started working with the constituency executive. So yeah, that was sort of my like rationale for getting involved. But it did take the push of someone saying, "Hey, you should do this."
mm. That's I see. And I believe you're in politics now to change the system. Then based on what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think there's ways to make change within systems, right? And so, even in sociology, we talk about all the different ways you can make system level changes, and like one of them is through the courts, right? And so there's folks that get engaged from a legal perspective, right? Like interpretation of laws. When you have a key ruling that goes in one direction, that can change everything, right? Like that can mean that people who love each other can get married to each other suddenly. Like those types of changes are one way you can do that. Another way is to advocate, like sort of being an activist, so outside the system. So you have lots of folks that will organize protests, organize marches, lobby the government, and really see themselves as activists. And I've got a little bit of that in me, but ultimately, like I wanted to go within the system and make changes from the inside. And so those are and within the system as a legislator, we're talking about the people who get to make the laws. So I think those are kind of the three main ways that social change happens. So I'm giving this one a go, changing things from within. Um, and it's hard, like being in opposition has been a challenge, right? You're not in government, you don't get to make those laws. The changes are fewer and take quite a bit of effort than it would take to um, convince your colleagues at a cabinet table. It's usually sustained campaigns that lead to um, very specific things changing. But I've had some good successes that have continued to motivate me. I had to start writing them down at one point because sometimes you can kind of get like a little bit defeated about the ability to make change. But a lot of them are tied to very specific people having very specific challenges. And some of the good things we've been able to do, um, getting the government to reverse decisions, getting them to change policies that have made a really big impact on families in the province.
Nice. How do the skills in your past experience translate into the work you do in politics today?
It's such a good question. And it's so funny because like there's no path to politics. You can kind of do many different things. And one of the things I always think about with the military is like, so a lot of people will ask me like, oh, you're in the military, now you're in politics. Like that doesn't seem like a very good fit. But in so many ways, it really is. So um, some of the most basic tasks of functioning as a professional involve like what time do you show up? What are you wearing? What are, like, do you have everything you need? Have you like packed for your day appropriately? And I will forever be in situations where people will, be late and I don't fault them. Like it's life happens. But I learned time management when I was 14 years old. Like those going to cadet camp year after year, knowing like I got to show up at this time. Here's what we're wearing in the morning. Looks like it might rain. I have to bring my rain poncho, have a full water bottle, like have sunscreen on, and we're all forming up at 8 a.m. and we're a team. So if one person's late, it's like we're all late. Those skills are wildly transferable to what to what we do. And sometimes I live my day in my car. Like, I will start the day, like yesterday morning, I started my day in Regina, did some stuff there, came and was at my office for a bit, did some running around. I had a lunch here. Before I ever got back to my house in Saskatoon in the afternoon. So like you have to be planning for your day and like trying to like eat healthy on the road and all that stuff and trying to figure out what you're going to eat, when you're going to eat, like often that means packing something. It means like a few outfit changes in the day. Often there's like different protocols for different places you're going. And I just feel like I do all of that in my sleep and think about it the night before, lay everything out, have it all planned out. And it's just sort of second nature because of the past experiences I have. So I'll set, like we'll talk about it in our private lives. Like I'll say, and my partner is also from the military, so he'll be like, I'll be like, what time do we have to leave tomorrow? And we'll start with how long is it going to take to get there? What time are we leaving? Okay, well, what time do we have to get up? Like we do like a time appreciation. And it sounds super nerdy, but he has very bad ADHD. So it's like very much an essential thing for us not to like get into a fight the next day if we're going out for supper. So yeah, it's some of those very basic skills are super helpful. And then there's a lot of deeper stuff too, right? Like I was the commanding officer of a cadet corps. I had a staff of about 25 people. Half of them were paid, half of them were unpaid volunteers. I learned a lot about how to treat people who are volunteers, making sure that we respect their time. And there's a lot of volunteering that happens in the political movement. So just trying to make sure that we know that people are appreciated, that we wouldn't ask them to do things we don't want to do. Sometimes that means when the weather's really gross, I'll say we shouldn't be outdoor knocking today. And some people will be like, well, we could probably push it. And it's like, if that volunteer has a bad day, they might never come back. And so this isn't about like squeezing as many resources out of people as possible. It's also about treating them with respect. And I have all kinds of weird training. Like I have like conflict management training and um, instructional training and like things that there are just an abundance of skills that have come from the cadet program. So I'll probably leave it there. But there's it's very much shaped who I am.
Well, I can see. Well, I can see you love this job. Um, so and based on my research, though, you have experience team building. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So one of the most rewarding projects I got to participate in was starting up a cadet corps in the core neighborhoods in Saskatoon. And so we had always operated kind of near the downtown. And so like a busy Idlewild is like a busy street, kind of like a main thoroughfare. And there's the Hugh Cairns Armory there where the like some of the military parades out of as well. And so that's where we were based out of. But we had a couple of cadets, a couple of young kids who were really dedicated but did not have resources. So in particular, one kid who at the time, like rain or shine, he would walk to the armory from around the 20th Street area, which is like more neighborhoods in Saskatoon, kind of like Pleasant Hill neighborhood. And it would be like 20, 25 minutes of walking because his family didn't have a vehicle or they weren't around. And it was like, I don't know, Saskatchewan weather. So sometimes it was really, really cold. And so often we'd, find him and like we would start like he would be too proud to ask for a ride, but like some people would drive down the street and see him and then like be like hop in and take him to the armory. But anyway, we started to realize that like there is a need in the core neighborhoods, and we had grown our cadet corps. Like I think through good leadership and some of those practices of just like treating people with respect and making sure it was fun for kids. And so we thought, well, one of my friends said like we should start another corps, and I had just sort of taken command or like was just taking command of the other one and was like, I don't know, like I think I was like 22 or something at the time. I was like, that's a lot. I don't even like, I'm already scared about this initiative. And but I had a good core group around me and they were like, no, 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 we'll support you. We'll do this. You're going to be great. It's going to be really good. Just like on Mondays, we're going to be over here and on Wednesdays, we'll go over here and operate out of Pleasant Hill School. And I was like, well, all right, let's try it. And so we like got a new base of volunteers, like sort of sectioned off people who were interested in the project from the first organization, went to the second one. I think we operated for about a year under the like legal authority of the first organization, and you need all these things in place before you can formally start a cadet corps. So we kind of like went through that bureaucratic process of getting people signed up, making sure we had space and all that. And then grew that organization. And that was, yeah, a really special time. I think has a really special place in my heart as well, and is still functional to this day. One of the commanding officer there right now is someone who was around when we were first conceiving of the idea. And yeah, it's really exciting to see that that opportunity still exists for kids there. And to know, I think my mother-in-law was still there until she aged out when she turned 65. So yeah, I still have friends that are more intimately involved with it, but I think when you see a need and you provide that need in community, it's really special.
And that's awesome. That's awesome. What do you think is the biggest misconception people have about your job, and how are you working to change that narrative?
So I think there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of misconceptions. I think one of the misconceptions is that when we're not in session in Regina, we're not working. And it is like the work is way more self-directed when you're not in session. When you're in session, it's sort of more dictated, like you go at this time and you're here for this. There's lots of meetings that people don't see that are not public facing. Um, so that's one of the things. People also think that like we're all very entitled or like come from silver spoons. And like I think we've talked a lot about that. So you understand that that's not at all who I am. And then the other thing is I think related to the work thing is like politicians are like lazy or corrupt or like there's this ideal idea that like we are somehow evil creatures and in it for ourselves and all this stuff. And certainly the folks that we have in our caucus, like I would never say that about any of them. They're fabulous people who also want to make good changes and feel uncomfortable in the spotlight and are like, I just want to do good things for people. It draws out a myriad of folks. How am I working to change it? I think so. Some of my social media presence has been geared toward that. So I focus somewhat on the stuff we do in the legislature, but I also really just try to show people what a day in the life looks like. So I've done some like join me on a day as deputy leader and see the types of stuff I get to do. It's I try to include some realistic stuff in there that isn't just like it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Like here's me lugging a bunch of stuff to my car, and here's the like 5 pairs of shoes I need, or here's my can of soup that I'm eating for lunch because that was what I was able to get organized today. So that people understand that it's not like glamorous, it's hard work, and there are definitely privileges that we have, and you get to go to like a ton of fancy dinners. But sometimes at the end of the day, the thing that I like the most at this point now is just going home to cook a meal. It's like one of the best days ever when I realize I can be home for dinner and I can cook something that I want to eat. And it might even be something really simple. Like yesterday, it was a jar of butter chicken sauce and a can of chickpeas. And like, it made my day to throw some things together on a stove and eat it. So those like small simple pleasures become the thing that you care the most about.
Hmm, nice. And when dealing with deep disagreement, what's your strategy for finding common ground? And can you share a time that strategy actually worked?
Yeah. So I mentioned the fact that I have some conflict management training. I did some work in this through cadets as well. I think the biggest skill that I have in this area is being able to see different people's viewpoints. So like sort of acknowledging that there's like my truth and someone else's truth, and I'm not always just like looking for the absolute truth in the situation. I'm more focused on what was the impact of my actions on this person, how did they interpret it, and then working to clear up miscommunication. I think in lots of cases, deep conflict comes from a place of miscommunication. Now, if everyone's on the same page and they still are disagreeing, I think it's about figuring out compromise and like what can you live with. And so, when you have like we have a 26-person caucus right now, there's a ton of folks there. It's great. But not everyone's going to agree all the time. I mean, even within a household, people don't agree all the time. And so I think it's about talking it through, um, making compromises, bringing different perspectives to the table, valuing everyone's perspectives, and trying to figure out ultimately, like within our realm, it's like ultimately what's the best for Saskatchewan people? Like, what is the best thing we're going to recommend here? Um, Now it's challenging because it's also like you want to get elected. So there's forever this balance of like you also want to um acknowledge like what is popular with Saskatchewan people right now. And sort of this is the like populism versus idealism debate. And I think balance is the best way to describe how I go about it. I think we have a very good sort of pragmatic approach right now with all of those considerations. But it is challenging, and I think it's about like not taking that personally, being able to have honest conversations, bringing things to the table, and staying connected with constituents. So even today, I'm going out door knocking this afternoon.
Mm.
It's good to hear from folks about what's on their minds. And if you stay connected with your constituents and you know, like, this is not an issue for people, or this is a really big issue for people, it also helps you do your job better as an elected official because you know, sort of like, at the end of the day, it's my job to be the voice of those folks. So I think not losing sight of that as well, and not getting mired in like this is my individual perspective is also helpful.
That's nice. That's nice. Right now, it's tough for people these days to find jobs. If they want to go the same path as you, whether as an MLA or what you mentioned earlier, air cadets and stuff, what are the things they can do right now to practice?
I've met so many people with so many different backgrounds. I would say like if you have a passion, go for it, get really into it, get engaged, find your community, work really hard on whatever your passion is. So, we have Kim Breckner as the MLA in Saskatoon Riversdale. She used to be a drag racer. She was like the um, president of their organization. We went out and like watched a bunch of races this year. I'm excited to watch her race this year. She was pregnant last year, so she didn't do it, but like she's just passionate there. She's got a whole community. She's got this awesome group of supporters. Um, you can kind of go. I think if you have something that lights you up, like pursue that and stay aware of the social issues and stay engaged, but like getting to know people in community, getting involved in your community is going to be the best way. And like if I hadn't gotten involved in my community through cadets, I never would have met David Forbes. He never would have suggested me to Cam Broughton. I would maybe still be teaching at the university or doing whatever at this point, thinking that I don't yet have enough experience to be in politics. And so um, yeah, I think find a passion, work really hard at it, and then there might be a good opportunity at some point that comes out. But it's hard to plan these things. You don't know when people are going to step down. You don't know how long you might think you have an MLA in your riding that's going to be there forever, and you'd never want to challenge them. Well, like their family circumstances might change, and next month they might step down. People get sick. People's family lives change. People take jobs in the private sector. That's what happened in my situation. I thought I'd lost in 2016. It was like under 200 votes. It was really close, but I felt okay about it because I worked really hard and was like, it wasn't there. And our leader lost his seat. So I was like, well, okay. The people weren't there at this point. We didn't have a message that resonated with them. But I thought, okay, well, it'll be 4 more years then. And so I got a different job at the university, started working there, wanted some benefits and more stable pay. And I was like, okay, I'll do this for a while and see how it goes. And then, yeah, that summer, my MLA stepped down and said she wanted to take a job. She was with the SAS party. She said she took a job in BC and there was a by-election. And I had like 3 months notice, I think, total between when we heard that she was stepping down and when I got elected. So it was like a really compressed time frame where I had to decide, like, am I doing this? Like, it's the same seat. I worked really hard. It was only last year. By-elections have the ability to like galvanize some resources from all over. Like, there's a really good chance that I'll be able to do this. And the SAS party had just had a really bad budget in 2017 where they cut a whole bunch of things that were just like really heartless. So yeah, sometimes you don't know when you're gonna have that window. So trying to plan it out is hard, but I think if you have the idea, watch for those opportunities and keep your ear to the ground on what's going on and getting involved with political organizations, local constituency associations. So you know how the game works is also good because there's a local competition before you ever get to the polls. And that local competition, the nomination process is also kind of complicated and party specific, depending on which party you're with. So
Okay, I guess that's it for the questions. Questions. Let's get ready for quick fire. Just simply answer questions quickly in
Okay.
under 90 seconds.
Okay.
All right, all right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Corner gas fan, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Well, okay. Favorite corner gas episode.
Uh, that's not a quick fire question. I don't know.
Okay.
It's been a while.
Oh, okay. I see. One word to describe yourself.
Grit,
Hmm. Best artist you love to listen to.
Taylor Swift,
Ah, one everyday item you can't live without.
coffee,
Hmm. Mantra in life.
work hard and don't complain.
Best place within your writing for a good meal.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Best place within your writing for a good meal.
Uh, hmm. This is I'm gonna, oh, so my boundaries just changed. So my answer is a little slower here.
You can
Um,
pass.
no, I'm gonna go with White Lotus.
Ah, okay. Okay. Best place within your writing to visit.
Is it? Um, Confederation Mall.
Hmm. Okay, I guess. All right, that's it. All right, that's it for quick fire. Quick fire. Do you want to? You don't mind we do a screenshot?
No, not at all, of course.
All right, here we go. Again, thank you, Vicky. Any last thoughts or comments?
No, just thanks for your time and thanks for your interest. I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit of my story. It's always I feel like as politicians we do so many interviews where it's kind of like they're just looking for sound bites. So I love the podcast model to be able to talk a little bit. So yeah, just appreciate you reaching out and all the work you're doing to share people's stories. So thanks for that.
Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, Vicky. And where can we find you in social media or in general?
Yeah, so I'm at Vicki Mowat on Vicki.Mowat on Instagram. Um, I think it's also just Vicki Mowat on TikTok. I was just looking it up, but yeah, it's pretty easy to find. I'm on Facebook, Vicki Mowat NDP. So yeah, come check me out.
All right. Again, Vicky, thank you for coming to the meetup spot.
Yeah, appreciate it. Have a good summer.
All right, you too, Vicky. Thank you.
Thanks.